Hi there. Let me ask a question. If you're a business owner, why did you start your own company? That's a question that's germane to today's topic. We're going to talk today about how to think like a business owner, not an employee of your own company. I think the answer to that question really comes down to two things. One, somebody might say, I'm okay with being an employee. I'm okay with doing all the work. I just want to make more money doing that work. Maybe I want to be a sole proprietor plumber. And instead of working for somebody, I just want to work for myself. And instead of me charging out $100 an hour and me getting 30 of that, I want to charge out the $100, pay for my expenses, and make 70, something like that. So that's answer number one. I just want to earn more for the work that I'm doing, and I'm happy to own my business and have my business be a job. The second reason is people get stuck running their business, getting the business started, but they don't really get out of their own way and start thinking like a business owner. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Hi, my name's Carl Baker. Today is we're in our next iteration of our monthly YouTube webinar series, and this month again we're talking about how to think like a business owner. If you want to own your own business and have it be a job, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Many people do it, and many people earn a nice living, and they're happy with that, and that's just fine. If you're wanting to grow a business, if you're wanting to think like a business owner and have other people do the work and leverage your time and think differently about running a business, then I'm going to give you a few thoughts today. Again, my name's Carl Baker. I own Baker CFO Advisory. We're a traditional accounting firm providing accounting services, outsourced accounting, tax services, other services that business owners need from a financial and financing perspective to help businesses grow their business. Why are we talking about this instead of debits and credits and taxes? Well, I just sit back and think about the things that I think are important to business owners. Do you really want me laying out the latest tax code? And I can do that. And actually, I'm in the process of setting up a series of other more technical subjects that are more conventional, traditional, that an accounting firm owner might talk about. Happy to do that. But I sit back and think about things that my clients are really thinking about on a day-to-day basis. All those other things have to get done, can get done. We do them. We provide those services for clients. But many times, many of my clients, I'm their first person that they hire that is financially minded, that helps them with their taxes. I become a trusted advisor. So I just think about things that are important to them. Growing a business is important to a business owner. Understanding how to scale a business, how to set up a business. So I think about those things. This topic is one of those subjects that is on people's minds. Earlier today in a meeting, I met somebody for the first time and they asked what I did. And I said, I'm an accountant, a CPA, a business advisor. And they said, man, I spend a lot of time thinking about how to grow a business, how to scale a business. And frankly, what came out of that quick little chit chat is less about strategic thinking and more about worrying. So, I encourage that person to not worry, but to put thoughts and plans in place, and and face those fears and those worries and keep pressing. So let's get into this. Let's start talking about what we're here to talk about today. Moving from doing everything yourself to leading a business that can grow without depending on you. That's the goal if you're wanting to have more than a job. So what does that entail? So we start off with a question. Who is really running your business? Ask yourself a few questions here. Can your business operate without you for a week? Good question. It really brings to light the issues that we're talking about today. Do employees constantly seek your approval? Are you the bottleneck for everything? Are you involved in every major decision? Does every decision tree come to you? Do you even have a decision tree? Do you even need a decision tree? Because everybody knows that in order to make a decision, we go to the boss. Do you spend more time doing tasks than leading? Wonderful question, and a question to be asked here. If your answer to yes is yes for all of these questions, any of those questions, then you're really functioning as an employee as opposed to a business owner, owning your company. And again, that's okay. But if you're wanting to scale, then thinking about leverage will be important to you. So what did I just say? Thinking about scaling, thinking about leverage, it all starts in your thinking. And that's hard as an employee, depending on where you are in your corporate life and where you are in the corporate scale. Oftentimes you're trained to do your job. You're not trained to think about the strategy of the business. You're trained to be an expert in the service delivery or the skill set or the discipline that you are involved in. And so you're not necessarily trained in this strategic thinking, in this business ownership thinking. So again, that's why I want to talk about that. There is a difference between an employee mindset and an owner mindset. An owner mindset is focused on the things on this scale on this slide here: building systems, creating leverage, developing people, developing long-term growth. So shifting from doing tasks to building a business that runs without you, where you are leading the business as a leader as opposed to one of the workers, even if it's a key man worker, even if it's a higher level worker. Common ownership traps. And again, many people do fall into this and they don't know how to get out of it. They want to get out of it and they don't necessarily know how to get out of it. There is a fear of losing control. There is a fear of there is an insistence upon perfectionism. There is a lack of systems, and there is a fear of growth creating more work for you. So all of those things are really traps that you have to first identify as traps that they are, and then think about ways to get out of those traps. A fear of losing control. Yeah, you're going to lose some control, meaning you don't have to make every decision. But the point is, you put guardrails in place, give people parameters, empower people, and train people to think like you do, to understand the business, and let people make decisions. It will be freeing to you. It will be empowering to the staff, and that will create a pyramid that will set you up for growth. Perfectionism. Don't let perfect get in the way of good. There are many case studies of seeking of perfectionism, which sounds good, but it actually inhibits growth. We've talked a lot about systems, putting systems in place. And without systems, you have chaos. Without systems, everything comes to you and it all depends on what's in your mind. So putting systems in place memorializes the way, and I've talked about that before, the way you do things. So putting those systems in place, and then this fear of growth, which just creates more work for you. I understand that. Freeing your schedule up by by freeing yourself from these other traps will allow you to embrace the opportunity for growth as opposed to just seeing growth as more work for you to do. Lead, don't do. Focus on giving direction, focus on making decisions, focus on training others to make decisions. I think that's more important than making your own decisions. Training others to make decisions. Leadership, obviously, and managing them, giving clear expectations, and then setting up systems to hold people accountable. And your value will come from leading and empowering other people to do the work rather than you doing every bit of the tasks. I even said this earlier, systems create the freedom to empower other people to do the work, replacing dependency on you and your skill set and your work and service delivery, replacing that with standard operating procedures, giving people parameters as to how to perform the work, putting those systems in place, eliminating chaos, checklists, workflows, all of those things will lead to clear accountability. And trust me, your staff want this. Your staff want to, they get up in the morning wanting to do the best they can as well. And when you say, look, we're going to do this differently, I want you to be involved in the service delivery, that will empower them. That will give them a sense of purpose. It will give them a sense of ownership in the success of the business. And then when you put the guardrails in place, the clear expectations, the accountability, the systems, the defined systems, the defined processes, it will just make everything, one, work more smoothly, but two, it will set you up for the ability to take your service more deeply into the market with growth. Leverage, the concept of multiplying results through leverage. And I grew up in a public accounting model, and the public accounting model is very much designed around leverage. The key to success in accounting firms and professional service firms is all around leverage. We talked about it all the time, and there was a day when I was low on the proverbial totem pole, where I was learning more than teaching, and people were handing me work. And then as I grew and learned, there was a mix of teaching people below me, so to speak, on the corporate ladder, on the organization chart. And then there were people above me that were asking me to be accountable to them. They were giving me tasks. That leverage allowed the firm to do more work than any one or two people could do. And it was impressed upon all of us as staff members that that's the only way we can grow. It's the only way the firm can grow. And with that growth, there is career opportunity. There is opportunity for advancement. There is opportunity for continued learning. There is opportunity for more money. There's opportunity for climbing up the ladder and doing different things, learning more things. So that leverage is important to people. You can use technology to leverage the way things are done. Automation, delegation, all those things will lead to empowerment and will lead to just growth and just a better way of doing things. Growth comes from leverage, not just longer hours. If you're doing all this yourself, you're just working more. And again, you may be okay with that. But if you're really wanting to grow, leverage, actually, with all these things, I would say thinking about the leverage in your firm will be the key to your success. If you think about leverage and how to do that successfully, all the other building blocks will be necessary and will fall in place. You'll start thinking about scale. You'll start thinking about putting systems in place so that you can leverage. You'll start thinking about what am I trying to say? You'll start thinking about workflow. You'll start thinking about memorializing processes. And all of that comes from having this commitment to leverage. One of the phrases, when I actually went out on my own and became an entrepreneur and owned my own business, some mentors and some advisors told me that one of the cool things that they learned when they went out on their own, and they were passing this on to me, was the owner stare out the window time. There's certainly a time and a place, especially early in in a entrepreneur's journey in starting a business, where you are probably doing more things rather than leading people. You are wearing all the hats. You're selling business, you're setting up the vision, you're providing the service, you're doing the billing, you're doing the accounting, you're doing everything. And at some point, you start to think about other things. One of the things that this mentor and advisor told me is to set aside time periodically for the quote, stare out the window time, the time when you think about strategy, long-term future. What does your firm look like in several years? What do you want the firm to look like in several years? From there, backing into what needs to happen. So thinking beyond the daily tasks about growth, financial health, what needs to happen. Little plug, I talked about this earlier in another meeting. One of the best things that a owner could do financially is set up working capital lines of credit. That's a little aside. It was on my mind in a conversation earlier today. Setting up working capital lines of credit so that you have that as a safety net before you actually need it. It will be key to your growth, success, longevity, sustainability. So thinking about that, the financial health of the organization, what are other things that you need to be thinking about? Leadership development, making sure that your staff have the training they need, have the skill sets they need, all the resources they need. Honestly, a business owner's top priority needs to be to make sure that your staff have all the resources they need. And what is the company culture? So we talked about that last month. What is the company culture? If you don't intentionally think about it, it will happen. Company culture is going to happen one way or the other. You might as well intentionally think about it and put some focus on what you want that corporate culture to be. Track what matters. A few things here. Monitor your financial health. Monitor the cash flow and profitability. So monitoring what your future cash flow is going to be on a short-term and a long-term basis, but that cash flow is different than profitability. So monitoring both your cash flow and your profitability, monitoring your operations. Does everybody have, as I said earlier, does everybody have the resources they need? Is everything clearly communicated as far as expectations, the way we do things, our processes, protocols, policies, and procedures, all those things? Do we have people in place that are committed to the vision of the organization? I think of the Jim Collins Good to Great book. It's been a while since that book came out, but it still rings true. Is everybody on the bus that should be on the bus? Are they in the right seat, headed in the same direction that you want the company to go in? And that is a great premise that continues to ring true. It's really a timeless notion. So tracking your people, tracking the growth. What does your growth trend look like? What do you need to do? As you know, when you have a little bit of growth, you may not need to make any changes. At some point, growth will expand beyond the current capacity. So what does that mean? What needs to happen as your capacity changes? What needs to happen as your staffing capacity changes, as your demand changes? And I have a slide here. What gets measured gets managed and will be improved as you manage that. And that's a phrase that I've been using for years. It's kind of an old cliche. What gets measured gets managed, but it's really a true maxim that is applicable in our topic today. So if you're hearing any of this and any of this might resonate, if it's new to you, it might get overwhelming to you. So then I say, how do we react to that? Well, you don't have to change everything. I say, stop doing one low value task. Identify one low value task that you could give to somebody. Document that one process. Delegate one responsibility. Schedule some strategic thinking time, that stare out the window time, and review your key business metrics. Set aside a slot in time and think about these things. And baby steps, it's okay. Baby steps are fine. Stop doing one low value task. Maybe the order on this slide is not right. Identify a person that you can delegate to. Identify whether that person is properly trained. Make sure that your process in that one thing is properly documented. Then give it away, give it to somebody. And then that frees you up. Spend an hour thinking about strategic thinking. Stare out the window and just dream a little bit. What does the future hold, and what are things that you need to do? If you assume you will achieve that future, what do we need to be doing today? And then spend some time reviewing some key metrics. I talked to somebody recently that's very busy, and they are an ideal candidate for our services, to be honestly, outsourcing accounting services. They're very busy. They do a lot of work themselves. There's some bottleneck issues, I think, and they haven't really evaluated their profitability for several months. They think they're profitable, but they don't really know. What they do know is they have lots of demand. And if their price is right and the demand is there, they assume profitability is there, but they don't really know. They can't put their finger on what that data tells them. Are they profitable at the average? Are they above profitability? Are they below? They don't know. And again, that's not to be critical, but the point is, there are many people like that, and I understand that. And the key to success will be to, one, identify the issue, and then take some baby steps to step away from that and have a better experience in the way they're running their business. I promise you, as you start to look at that data, some conclusions will be drawn, some metrics will be evaluated, and information will be gleaned from that will be surprising to you if you're not in the habit of looking at that data on a regular basis. I promise you, there will be some new information there that will be revolutionary, maybe at least revelatory. It will be a revelation to you. So think about that. I talked about it before in other series. We have a great series of white papers. Download our guide by going to our website, bakercfoadvisory.com. You'll see an opportunity to sign up for our newsletters, and you'll see a series of white papers there. And it just puts into writing some of the things we talk about today. And you might get some nuggets out of that, and it'll just be a good way to ruminate over these issues. As we conclude on this, I think about leading better, growing faster. I promise you, if you have designs on growth, until you get a handle on this leverage concept, thinking differently, thinking as an owner as opposed to an employee, committing to leverage, delegation, setting up processes, empowering people to provide the service of the organization, and then helping them, giving them the resources, giving them the training, setting some guardrails in place, holding people accountable. Until you get those things done, that growth won't happen. And it will start with, it probably will need to start with baby steps, but you will start to enjoy some freedom and you'll start to see results. I promise you that. But a business that depends on you is difficult to scale. I would actually say it's impossible to scale. And again, just keep thinking about what happens if you had to step aside for 30 days, what's going to happen to the business? That's a major risk issue, actually, for your business. I haven't even talked about that, but that's a major risk. If something happened that was an involuntary leave of absence and your business shut down completely, well, think about the risk there. So it's just better all around. And I'm going to pause and talk about that. Many people are okay with that job. They want to provide that service. They don't want to have a growing business, and they want to be that employee type business owner. But the reality is, by doing that, you are living day to day with the risk that at any given moment your business will implode if you have an involuntary leave of absence for a week, 30 days. So I just encourage people to think about, even if you are okay with having this job where you're making a better living than you would if you were a W-2 employee, but it is true that there is real risk there. And if for no other reason, managing that risk with a different mindset uh, will be better for your business in the long term. And I'm going to end with that and say thank you for that. Next up, next month, we're going to talk about being in business. And what I just finished with is a good segue to next month's session. It's kind of a long title, kind of wordy, but the title, In Business, the concept of grow or die, is a healthier mindset than I'm fine where I'm at. Why? For many reasons. I just ended my session with a good reason. One, the risk, the going concern risk of possibly having a stoppage in work because of an involuntary leave of absence. But there are many other reasons. Your business, your customer base will shrink if you don't have a grow or die mentality, if you don't have a growth mentality. Your business, even if you're perfect in your provision of services, your business will shrink because of issues that are out of your control. Your clientele will grow, your clientele will leave, your clientele will make changes, and all of those things are true even if you are awesome at providing service. So we're going to talk some more about that next month. Thank you if you're a podcast listener. I know I'm doing this with a video. You can find us on YouTube, and if you're listening on our podcast, thanks for that. You can find us at bakercfoadvisory.com. My phone number is in there. My email is in there. My email is carl@bakercfoadvisory. You can reach out to me. I promise you I will reach back. And if you have any questions, comments, please let us know in the comments to this YouTube page or on our podcast, and we'll be happy to chat with you in any way you'd like, whether it's email or live or whatever. Thanks again for listening. Stay tuned next time. And as always, we just appreciate your time, and we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.